Alright guys, welcome back to Audi Retrofits. My name's Ash and this is Project A3. So behind me here is my wife's Audi A3 Saloon and I've got a ton of upgrades ready for this car. I've been putting it off for far too long. I've been collecting parts for over 3 years. But now time is here and to be fair, I'm getting a bit fed up of collecting parts. So I want to upgrade this thing to as much as I can, and today we're starting off with a very big one. This is like the OG mod I wanted to do, and that is an Audi Virtual Cockpit. Now that car is a 2014, it's a pre-facelift. Virtual cockpits weren't around when that car came out. However, in 2017, when they facelifted the car, they brought out these beautiful babies. Now this thing here is brand spanking new. It's in the box, it's been here in the box for the last 3 years. I haven't opened the box once to even have a look inside it, but it is direct from Audi, brand new, and I've even got the trims, the surround, the buttons, and a fitting kit to go along with it. Now I offered my wife this install a long time ago. However, she used to ask me one question which just sank the whole install. She asked me, can I have Waze showing in the virtual cockpit? And the answer is no. CarPlay and Waze do not show up in the virtual cockpit. And then her answer was, well, what's the point of it? But in the end, I've kind of persuaded her that, look, it's a lovely install, it'll add value to the car, who knows if it will, it just looks cool. So today I'm gonna do that job, I'm gonna finally open this box. Now, before we do that, there are some little key things that we need to look into on this car. So, first thing is the actual cluster that's currently fitted. Now, before I take this cluster out, I need to record the mileage and download some data from it. Service data and some other settings that are in there. I'll start by doing that first. The other thing, however, is installing the cluster into this dash isn't the easiest of tasks. So there's two options to do it. You can either remove this whole dashboard and get one from a 2017 that already had the virtual cockpit and then fit that in place. Or you can modify this dashboard, as this cluster is actually smaller than the virtual cockpit. So you do need to modify and cut out the dash here so that the cluster will fit. Now I'm gonna go for that option because taking the whole dashboard is a long task and it costs more money to buy the other dash. This way is quicker and cheaper. Now, I'll download the codes first and then we'll go ahead with stripping it all out, including taking off the steering wheel, just to give me some more access. All right, so we put the car in charge and I've grabbed my laptop. I've got my VCDS cable, quick tool that we're gonna use just to back up and download the codes from the instrument cluster. So really simple. Just go into the software, download the codes, and then I'm going to start stripping it all apart. Now before I strip the dashboard and take the instrument cluster out, I want to open up these boxes. 3 years coming, I want to find out what condition these parts are in. This is how it comes. Voila. Yes, lovely. So that's the new cluster, finally open after 3 years. Now in the other box I've got the trims which I'm going to need to be able to measure up how much I need to modify that dashboard. So I'll get this out and take this over to the car. There you go. And so this all mounts together, but this will give me the right amount of distance that I need to cut. So I'll do a quick walkthrough of how I did the virtual cockpit install. So first I take off the airbag, followed by the steering wheel and then the steering upper cowling. That allows me space to get to the bolts to take out the instrument cluster. Next I take off the lower trim. This allows me space so that I can reach up behind it to run the wiring. Next I grab the trim surround from the virtual cockpit. This allows me to mark up where we need to make the cuts to allow the virtual cockpit to fit into the dash. Now this part takes absolutely ages, but I trim out the dash and we open up the hole big enough for the virtual cockpit to fit. So now I can run the wiring in behind the dash and plug it into the cockpit, and straight away the cockpit comes to life. So after about half an hour of messing around to get the virtual cockpit to sit into place, I then put the steering wheel back on and move over to the other side of the dash, where the wiring from the cockpit itself now runs into the back of the MMI system. And the last part of the puzzle is the steering wheel buttons. They have to be upgraded to have the view button and the left and right control to be able to change the menus in the virtual cockpit. And with all that done, we can now move on to the coding. This part takes absolutely ages. You have to code in the keys, set the immobilizer, remove component protection and set the mileage.
2 hours later.
Now, after doing all of that and coding in the different options into the instrument cluster, I then find out we have a steering wheel problem. The buttons on the left hand side do not work properly to control the virtual cockpit. So I took it apart and I did some testing, and I figured out that the button itself was faulty. Luckily I had a spare, so I swapped it out, and after a further little bit of testing I figured out it's all working now, so I put it all back together and then move on to some more coding and options, including unlocking some special menus in the virtual cockpit. And there you have it. So we've got the full virtual cockpit installed. We can flick through the menus. The navigation's loading, so just let that load up. We've got loads of different menus. I've added the sport menus into the cockpit. Although these don't work just yet, there is a bridge I need to install to get these to work. The tire pressure does work. We have to go for a drive, as it says there at the bottom. Measurement is only after 16 miles an hour. But then the power and torque, this won't work until we get that bridge installed. It does have the lap timer in there. And then we've also enabled the sports layout. So if I just press the view button, it switches into that, which looks super cool. Now, from here, the navigation full screen looks amazing as well. And then again, on the view, it will switch to the left side there with the tire pressure on the right hand side. So yeah, done all the coding. It did take quite some time to get this. I was being very OCD and trying to adjust this cockpit perfectly. As it is a retrofit, it can just be out by a few millimeters, but I was doing my best to make sure that this wasn't out in the sides. So perfectly fit. And also I have now adjusted, if I go back through the menus here, the mileage is now corrected to 51,000 as it was before. So yeah, this is now fully activated, installed. The keys are now coded along with the immobilizer, and it's had all the options turned on. So the last thing left to do is to peel off the film. So that's another one ticked off the list, but we have many more to come. So make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, take care guys, and we'll see you on the next one.